Part 1. Introduction. Why Stoicism Still Matters Today. In a world marked by constant noise, emotional chaos, and rapid change, it is no surprise that ancient philosophies are making a comeback. Among them, Stoicism stands out as one of the most practical and resilient frameworks for navigating modern life. Though developed more than 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece and Rome, Stoicism offers timeless tools that continue to guide people toward clarity, resilience, and peace of mind. Modern life presents challenges that would be unimaginable to the early Stoics. Digital distractions, economic instability, information overload, climate anxiety, and a growing sense of isolation in hyper-connected societies. Despite this, or perhaps because of it, Stoicism has seen a massive resurgence. From CEOs and athletes to therapists and YouTubers, many people are turning to Stoic practices to stay grounded, reduce stress, and act with intention in a world that often seems chaotic. But what is it about Stoicism that speaks so powerfully to our time? The answer lies in its core message. While we cannot control what happens around us, we can control how we respond. This simple yet profound insight gives people the courage to face uncertainty, disappointment, and even tragedy with dignity and strength. It also empowers them to focus energy where it truly matters, on their character, choices, and perspective. Unlike some philosophies that remain abstract or purely theoretical, Stoicism is a practical, action-oriented philosophy. It asks us to examine how we think, how we speak, and how we live. It trains us to shift our focus inward, to our values and judgments, and teaches us to stop wasting energy on things that do not depend on us. This makes it especially useful in a time when many people feel overwhelmed, emotionally reactive, and unsure of how to regain control of their lives. The revival of Stoicism has also been fueled by best-selling books, podcasts, social media accounts, and daily Stoic email reminders that break down the philosophy into bite-sized, digestible wisdom. These tools make ancient insights accessible to modern audiences. Phrases like "focus on what you can control" or "memento mori," "remember that you must die," have become mantras for those seeking perspective and power over their emotional lives. Yet Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions or becoming passive. It is about understanding our emotions and using reason to guide our actions. It teaches us that peace does not come from controlling the world, but from mastering the self. In this way, Stoicism helps people find calm not by changing the world, but by changing how they interact with it. In this series, we will explore how Stoicism can be applied in modern life, not just as a theoretical framework, but as a lived practice. We will dive into how Stoic principles are used in the workplace, in relationships, in leadership, and even in managing mental health. We will look at how these ancient ideas have become surprisingly relevant in the face of today's biggest challenges. From Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who journaled about virtue while leading a war-torn empire, to Epictetus, the once enslaved teacher who taught resilience through inner freedom, Stoicism has always been about finding strength from within. Now, as we face our own battles, whether they be personal, professional, or global, this philosophy can serve as a guide not just to survive, but to thrive. In the sections that follow, you'll find practical ways to integrate Stoic thinking into your everyday life. You don't need to be a philosopher or scholar. You just need a desire to live more intentionally, to act with clarity, and to build emotional strength that doesn't depend on external conditions. Stoicism offers tools for everyone, tools to stay calm in chaos, make better decisions, and cultivate peace in a noisy world. This is not about becoming emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about facing them with courage, patience, and perspective. Most importantly, it's not about removing yourself from the world. It's about showing up, fully, honestly, and purposefully, with a mind that's prepared and a heart that's steady. Part 2, a brief overview of Stoic philosophy. To truly understand the power of Stoicism in modern life, it's essential to explore its philosophical roots. Stoicism is more than just catchy phrases or daily affirmations. It is a complete system of thought, developed to help individuals live in harmony with nature and reason. Its origins date back to the early 3rd century BCE in Athens, where the founder, Zeno of Citium, began teaching his ideas at a public space called the Stoa Poikile, or painted porch, from which the philosophy gets its name. Stoicism teaches that the path to happiness is found in accepting the present moment, understanding the nature of things, and living a life of virtue. For the Stoics, virtue was not just a moral ideal, it was the only good. Everything else, including health, wealth, reputation, and even life itself, was considered indifferent. These things could be preferred or dispreferred, but they were not the key to a meaningful or happy life. Only our character and our choices were truly within our control. At the heart of Stoic philosophy are four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom is the ability to discern what is truly good and act accordingly. Courage is the strength to face difficulty with integrity. Justice is treating others with fairness and respect. Temperance is the ability to exercise self-restraint and moderation in all things. Unlike other schools of thought that viewed philosophy as an abstract discipline, Stoicism was intended to be lived. It was meant to be practiced daily, with the aim of transforming one's mind and behavior. Stoics kept journals, reflected on their actions, and engaged in exercises designed to strengthen their self-awareness and emotional control. This is why Stoicism is often compared to a form of mental training, almost like a psychological workout for the soul. One of the most important ideas in Stoicism is the concept of dichotomy of control. This principle divides everything in life into two categories: things we can control and things we cannot. According to Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential Stoic teachers, our judgments, desires, and actions are within our control. External events, other people's opinions, and random circumstances are not. The Stoic goal is to focus exclusively on what we can control and let go of the rest. This idea is incredibly liberating. By recognizing the limits of our influence, we stop wasting time and energy on frustration, blame, or worry. Instead, we direct our attention inward toward improving our character, developing resilience, and responding to life with intention rather than reaction. Another key Stoic concept is the practice of negative visualization. This involves imagining the loss of things we value, our job, our health, our loved ones, not to become pessimistic, but to sharpen our appreciation for what we have and to prepare ourselves emotionally for change or loss. This technique builds gratitude and emotional resilience by helping us confront the impermanence of life. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of nature, not just the natural world, but the nature of reality and human beings. They believed that living in accordance with nature meant accepting the natural flow of life, acting rationally, and fulfilling our roles as social beings. We are not isolated individuals, the Stoics argued, but part of a larger whole. Therefore, we have a duty to act with compassion, fairness, and cooperation toward others. Three major Stoic thinkers shaped the development of the philosophy across centuries. First, Zeno of Citium laid the foundation. Then came Seneca, a Roman statesman and playwright whose letters offered moral advice grounded in Stoic values. Next was Epictetus, whose teachings were recorded by his student Arrian and emphasized personal responsibility and internal freedom. Finally, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, captured his personal reflections in Meditations, a timeless collection of insights on humility, duty, and endurance. What made Stoicism endure through the ages is its adaptability. Though born in ancient Greece, it traveled across centuries and cultures, influencing Christianity, Enlightenment thinkers, modern psychology, and now the self-help movement. Its emphasis on self-mastery, ethical living, and rational thinking continues to resonate with people seeking clarity and control in an often confusing world. In the modern age, Stoicism has become more than just a school of thought. It has become a toolbox, a set of practical methods for dealing with life's unpredictability. Whether you are facing professional stress, personal loss, or everyday frustration, Stoicism offers a calm, reasoned approach. Its focus on self-discipline, acceptance, and moral integrity provides a steady foundation for navigating the pressures of contemporary life. Ultimately, Stoicism reminds us that while we may not choose our circumstances, we can always choose our attitude. It teaches us that true freedom is not found in changing the world, but in mastering ourselves. And in a time when control feels elusive and anxiety runs high, that message is more relevant than ever. Part 3: Stoicism in the modern workplace. The modern workplace is often filled with stress, deadlines, performance pressure, interpersonal tensions, and rapidly changing environments. In this fast-paced setting, emotions can run high, and maintaining clarity and purpose can be a daily struggle. This is where Stoicism becomes a powerful tool, not just for surviving the workday, but for thriving professionally with dignity, composure, and integrity. At its core, Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control our external environment, whether that's a demanding boss, office politics, or a failing project, we can always control our response to it. This simple mindset shift can have profound effects on productivity, job satisfaction, and mental health. Instead of reacting emotionally, the Stoic worker responds with intention. Instead of complaining about what's unfair or inefficient, they focus on what is within their influence, their effort, attitude, and ethical choices. One of the most practical applications of Stoicism at work is mastering the dichotomy of control. Every employee, regardless of their role or industry, will face setbacks, a rejected proposal, a lost client, or a difficult coworker. The Stoic approach is not to obsess over the outcome, which is often outside our control, but to focus on the preparation, the quality of work, and the intention behind it. By doing this, we free ourselves from the anxiety of perfectionism and the paralysis of fear, choosing instead to take consistent, reasoned action. Another Stoic principle useful in the workplace is temperance. In professional settings, it's easy to get carried away by ambition, ego, or rivalry. The Stoic practice of moderation reminds us to stay grounded, to act with humility, and to resist extremes. This is especially relevant in competitive environments where people may be tempted to cut corners or act unethically to get ahead. Stoicism encourages long-term integrity over short-term gains. It teaches us that true success is living according to one's values, not just earning money or promotions. Conflict resolution is another area where Stoic wisdom shines. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we must assume others act not out of malice, but ignorance or misguided intent. This perspective reduces resentment and opens the door to empathy and clearer communication. Instead of escalating disagreements or taking things personally, a Stoic aims to remain calm, ask questions, and respond with rational discourse. This doesn't mean becoming passive or tolerating injustice, but it does mean addressing issues without being consumed by them emotionally. Leadership also benefits immensely from Stoic principles. The best leaders are not those who dominate or micromanage, but those who lead by example, stay composed under pressure, and make decisions based on principle rather than emotion. A Stoic leader listens more than they speak, seeks justice above personal gain, and accepts responsibility without deflecting blame. They understand that their mood and choices set the emotional tone for their teams. Additionally, the practice of morning and evening reflection, a common Stoic ritual, can enhance personal development at work. In the morning, a Stoic might mentally rehearse potential challenges and prepare to meet them with wisdom and patience. In the evening, they reflect on the day's actions, asking, "Did I act in alignment with my values? Where did I let emotions take control? What could I do better tomorrow?" This continuous cycle of intention and reflection promotes growth and resilience over time. Negative visualization also has a place in the workplace. Before a big presentation or negotiation, imagining what could go wrong, not with fear, but with acceptance, can make you more emotionally prepared and less likely to panic. This mental practice shifts our perspective from fear of failure to readiness for anything. Moreover, Stoicism can be a valuable ally in managing burnout. Many workers today feel trapped in a cycle of endless tasks and unreachable standards. Stoicism teaches us that while hard work is honorable, our worth is not defined by external recognition or nonstop achievement. It invites us to focus on quality over quantity, on meaning rather than image. It reminds us that rest, reflection, and boundary setting are not weaknesses but part of living wisely. Even dealing with career uncertainty, such as layoffs, changes in industry, or feeling lost, can benefit from a Stoic approach. Rather than being consumed by fear or regret, Stoicism invites us to accept reality as it is, act within our sphere of influence, and trust that every challenge is also a chance to grow. As Epictetus taught, it's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. In sum, Stoicism doesn't offer a magical solution to workplace stress. Instead, it offers a mindset, a way of showing up each day with clarity, focus, and ethical commitment. In doing so, it transforms work from a source of anxiety into a field of practice. Every meeting, every email, every deadline becomes an opportunity to strengthen your mind and live with purpose. And in a world that increasingly values emotional intelligence and inner strength, that is a competitive advantage no resume can fully capture. Part 4: Stoicism and Mental Health in the 21st Century. In recent years, mental health has taken center stage in conversations about personal well being and societal progress. The rise of anxiety, depression, burnout, and emotional fatigue, particularly in a hyperconnected, high speed digital world, has prompted individuals to seek effective coping mechanisms. While modern psychology offers many valuable tools, ancient Stoicism has reemerged as a surprisingly compatible and powerful framework for mental resilience. One of the reasons Stoicism resonates so deeply with those struggling with mental health challenges is its emphasis on internal mastery. Rather than focusing on external validation or control, Stoicism teaches us to turn inward, to examine our thoughts, beliefs, and emotional habits. This aligns closely with cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, a well established psychological treatment that directly draws from Stoic thought. In fact, the founder of CBT, Albert Ellis, openly credited Epictetus for inspiring the core idea that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. This simple but profound concept lies at the heart of both Stoicism and emotional well being. We suffer more from our judgments than from the actual events we experience. By identifying and challenging irrational or exaggerated thoughts, we can reduce anxiety and respond more effectively to stressors. For instance, consider someone who is constantly worried about being judged at work or in social situations. A Stoic approach would involve questioning this fear. Is it within my control how others see me? Am I acting according to my values? If the answer is yes, then their opinion is not my concern. This detachment is not apathy, it's a deliberate shift from obsession to perspective. It helps reframe the narrative from I must be liked to I must act with integrity, which is a far more stable foundation for self-worth. Another core Stoic practice that supports mental health is premeditatio malorum, foreseeing and preparing for adversity. While modern culture often encourages avoidance of unpleasant thoughts or experiences, Stoicism embraces them, not in a morbid or pessimistic way, but as a way of cultivating resilience. By imagining potential setbacks, such as illness, loss, or failure, we can lessen their emotional sting if they occur. This practice builds psychological immunity and promotes a kind of quiet confidence in one's ability to endure. Stoicism also teaches the power of mindfulness, though it may not use that exact term. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to return to the present moment and to approach each task with full attention. This focus reduces rumination on the past or fear of the future, two major contributors to anxiety. When we practice Stoic mindfulness, we remind ourselves, this moment is enough. In doing so, we calm the mental noise and gain clarity. Equally important is the Stoic emphasis on acceptance. This does not mean resignation or passivity, but rather acknowledging reality without resistance. Many mental health struggles arise from the refusal to accept what is, whether that's a painful past, a chronic condition, or a current limitation. Stoicism teaches that peace comes not from changing the world to fit our desires, but from adjusting our desires to fit the world. In the words of Epictetus, seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and your life will flow smoothly. In practical terms, this mindset helps individuals manage situations that might otherwise lead to despair. Someone who has lost their job might spiral into hopelessness, but a Stoic approach would encourage them to focus on what they can do next. What is within my control is the anchoring question that prevents paralysis. Action, no matter how small, becomes a source of strength. Moreover, Stoicism promotes emotional regulation, not suppression. The Stoics were not robots. They felt pain, sorrow, and fear. What they practiced was the discipline of not letting these emotions govern their actions. In an age where emotional impulsivity is often rewarded or sensationalized, Stoicism reminds us that strength lies in self-command. Learning to observe one's emotions without immediately reacting is a hallmark of both Stoic and therapeutic growth. Community and service are also important components of Stoic mental health. While Stoicism encourages inner strength, it is not a solitary or selfish path. The Stoics believed in our shared humanity and our duty to contribute to the common good. This sense of purpose and connection is a powerful antidote to isolation and despair. Doing meaningful work, helping others, and acting with justice all reinforce a sense of identity and belonging, key factors in emotional well-being. Finally, Stoicism encourages a long-term perspective. When we're in the grip of distress, our problems can feel overwhelming and permanent. The Stoics remind us of the impermanence of all things. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on how everything changes, how countless others before him had faced the same trials, and how soon even the greatest pain fades into memory. This cosmic perspective doesn't trivialize our suffering, but it places it within a broader, more hopeful context. In summary, Stoicism offers a robust framework for maintaining mental health in a chaotic world. It teaches us to take responsibility for our minds, to build resilience through preparation and reflection, and to live with intention rather than reaction. When paired with modern psychological tools, Stoicism becomes not just a philosophy, but a daily practice of emotional strength and clarity. And in an age of distraction and disconnection, that kind of grounded presence is not just beneficial, it's revolutionary. Part 5, Stoicism and Productivity in a Distracted World. In today's fast-paced and hyper-connected world, productivity is often challenged by constant distractions. From endless notifications on smartphones to the lure of social media and multitasking demands, staying focused and effective can feel almost impossible. However, Stoicism offers timeless wisdom to help us cultivate productivity amid these distractions by developing mental clarity, discipline, and purposeful action. One of the central ideas in Stoicism is focusing only on what is within our control. In terms of productivity, this means directing attention and effort intentionally rather than reacting impulsively to every ping or interruption. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to concentrate every day like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. This mindset encourages us to return our focus to the task at hand, regardless of external disturbances. Modern distractions pull our attention in many directions, fragmenting our mental energy. The Stoics teach the importance of guarding the mind like a fortress, protecting it from unnecessary noise. This mental discipline starts with recognizing when we have been distracted and gently bringing ourselves back to the present moment. It also involves creating an environment conducive to concentration by minimizing interruptions and setting boundaries with technology. Another important Stoic principle is the practice of deliberate action. Instead of rushing through tasks or multitasking, Stoicism advises that every action should be purposeful and done with full engagement. Seneca said, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Setting clear goals and priorities allows us to navigate our work with intention and avoid being swept away by trivial or urgent but unimportant matters. Stoicism also emphasizes the value of time as a precious resource. Seneca famously wrote a letter titled On the Shortness of Life, warning against wasting time on distractions or meaningless pursuits. Adopting this perspective encourages us to value every moment and use it wisely. By viewing time as finite, we develop greater urgency to focus on what truly matters. Another practical technique drawn from Stoicism is journaling or self-reflection. Reflecting daily on how well we managed our focus and productivity helps build self-awareness and accountability. It reveals patterns of distraction and enables conscious improvements. Marcus Aurelius's meditations are a prime example of how regular reflection supports mental clarity and growth. Stoicism also teaches resilience in the face of setbacks or failures in productivity. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, distractions or fatigue interfere. Instead of self-criticism or frustration, the Stoic approach is to accept what happened, learn from it, and renew effort. This prevents negative emotions from derailing progress and fosters consistent improvement over time. Furthermore, practicing gratitude for the ability to work and contribute helps cultivate motivation and reduces burnout. Recognizing that productivity is not just about output, but about fulfilling one's role in life aligns work with deeper purpose. This connection enhances focus and satisfaction. Incorporating breaks and rest also aligns with Stoic moderation. Overworking or forcing concentration beyond natural limits can be counterproductive. The Stoics valued balance and understood that recovery is essential for sustained effectiveness. Mindfully stepping away even briefly, refreshes the mind and body. In a world flooded with distractions, Stoicism encourages us to live deliberately and with discipline. By focusing on what we can control, acting with intention, valuing time, reflecting on our habits, and practicing resilience, we create conditions for true productivity. This not only benefits work outcomes, but also fosters peace of mind and fulfillment. In summary, Stoicism offers a powerful toolkit to navigate the challenges of modern distraction. It teaches us to protect our mental focus, align actions with purpose, and treat time as a precious asset. By applying these principles, we can reclaim our productivity, enhance our effectiveness, and lead more meaningful lives despite the noisy world around us. Part 6: Stoicism and Relationships. Relationships are central to human life, whether with family, friends, colleagues, or romantic partners. Yet they are often the source of the greatest joys as well as the deepest frustrations. In a world full of misunderstandings, conflicts, and emotional complexities, how can Stoicism help us cultivate healthier, more resilient relationships? At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the recognition that we cannot control others, only our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. This insight is crucial for maintaining peace in relationships. Much suffering arises from unrealistic expectations, expecting others to behave as we want, to meet our emotional needs perfectly, or to never disappoint us. Stoicism encourages us to accept people as they are, recognizing their own struggles, limitations, and perspectives. By focusing on our own conduct, we free ourselves from bitterness and resentment. For example, if a friend is late or forgets an important event, the Stoic asks, "Is this within my control?" The answer is no. Instead of anger, they respond with patience or forgiveness, understanding that humans are imperfect. This mindset fosters empathy and reduces conflict. Communication, a cornerstone of any relationship, is deeply informed by Stoic wisdom. Stoicism promotes clear, honest, and respectful dialogue. When emotions threaten to cloud conversation, the Stoic pauses, reflects, and responds with reason rather than reaction. This leads to more constructive exchanges and helps prevent misunderstandings from escalating. Moreover, Stoicism teaches the value of gratitude in relationships. Recognizing and appreciating the positive qualities and efforts of others nurtures goodwill and connection. Marcus Aurelius advised reflecting daily on the kindness and generosity of people in our lives, even if small. This practice counters negativity bias, the human tendency to focus more on problems than blessings, and strengthens bonds. Another important aspect is forgiveness. The Stoics understood that holding grudges only poisons our own minds. To forgive is to release the burden of anger and pain, freeing space for healing and growth. Forgiveness is not excusing harmful behavior, but choosing peace over prolonged suffering. This aligns with the Stoic pursuit of tranquility, ataraxia. The principle of focusing on one's own virtue rather than others' faults also applies to relationships. Instead of criticizing or trying to change others, Stoics seek to improve their own patience, kindness, and understanding. This can have a ripple effect, inspiring positive change in others without confrontation. Boundaries are also essential in Stoic relationships. While Stoicism values compassion and duty, it recognizes the need to protect one's well-being. Knowing when to say no, when to step back, or when to limit interaction is a form of wisdom. This prevents burnout and maintains the capacity to be genuinely present and supportive. Stoicism also encourages us to prepare mentally for loss and change in relationships. People move away, change, or pass on. The practice of negative visualization, contemplating potential separations, helps soften the blow and appreciate the present moment more deeply. It is not pessimism, but a sober acceptance of life's impermanence. Romantic relationships in particular benefit from Stoic principles. Rather than clinging to idealized images or demanding constant validation, Stoicism promotes loving with a clear mind and an open heart. It encourages partners to support each other's growth and to face challenges together with resilience and reason. Parenting, too, can be approached stoically. Teaching children virtue, patience, and self-control aligns with Stoic ethics. Parents who model calmness and rationality provide a steady foundation, helping children navigate life's ups and downs with confidence. Finally, the Stoic sense of community, cosmopolitanism, reminds us that we are all interconnected parts of a larger whole. Acting with justice and kindness towards others, beyond immediate relationships, cultivates a sense of purpose and belonging. In conclusion, Stoicism offers a practical and profound guide for improving relationships. By focusing on what we can control, cultivating empathy and forgiveness, communicating with reason, and preparing for life's uncertainties, we build stronger, more peaceful connections. These skills are not just ancient wisdom, they are timeless keys to human flourishing in any era. Part 7, Stoicism and Leadership. Leadership is a demanding role that requires wisdom, resilience, and integrity, qualities that Stoicism cultivates deeply. Whether in business, politics, community organizations, or family settings, applying Stoic principles can transform how one leads and influences others. First, Stoicism teaches that true leadership begins with self-mastery. A leader who cannot govern their own mind and emotions is unlikely to inspire confidence or sound judgment. Marcus Aurelius, himself a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, exemplified leadership grounded in self-discipline, humility, and a sense of duty. Leaders who practice Stoic self-awareness regularly reflect on their thoughts and motivations, identifying biases, fears, or ego-driven impulses that may cloud decision-making. Second, Stoic leadership emphasizes focusing on what is within one's control. Leaders often face unpredictable circumstances and factors beyond their influence. Instead of wasting energy on frustration or blame, Stoic leaders accept reality and direct efforts toward constructive actions. This mindset fosters adaptability and steadiness, essential in crises or complex environments. Communication is another critical aspect. Stoicism encourages clear, honest, and respectful expression. Leaders who embody these values build trust and foster open dialogue. They listen actively, consider diverse perspectives, and avoid impulsive reactions. This creates a culture of psychological safety where team members feel valued and empowered. Moreover, Stoic leadership involves a commitment to virtue, justice, courage, wisdom, and temperance. Leaders act not for personal gain or popularity, but for the common good. This ethical foundation ensures decisions are fair, transparent, and aligned with long-term well-being. It also models behavior that inspires integrity throughout the organization. A Stoic leader practices empathy and recognizes the humanity in those they lead. Understanding that everyone has their own struggles and limitations helps cultivate patience and compassion. This does not mean avoiding accountability, but addressing issues with kindness and clarity. The Stoic concept of cosmopolitanism, the idea that all humans are part of a shared community, extends leadership beyond narrow interests. Leaders who embrace this view consider the broader impact of their actions on society and the environment, aligning with modern ideas of corporate social responsibility and ethical governance. Stoicism also encourages preparing for adversity through mental rehearsal and reflection. Leaders who anticipate challenges can respond calmly and effectively, avoiding panic or rash decisions. This foresight builds resilience both personally and organizationally. Furthermore, maintaining equanimity, the ability to remain calm and balanced in success or failure, is vital. Stoic leaders neither boast nor despair, but treat victories and setbacks as opportunities for growth and learning. This steadiness fosters confidence and stability among followers. In stressful situations, Stoicism equips leaders to manage pressure without losing sight of values. Practicing detachment from outcomes allows focus on effort rather than external validation, reducing anxiety and fostering sustained motivation. Finally, Stoic leadership involves humility, acknowledging one's limitations and being open to feedback and continuous improvement. Leaders who admit mistakes and learn from them cultivate a culture of growth and trust. In conclusion, Stoicism offers a profound framework for effective, ethical leadership. By cultivating self-mastery, focusing on what can be controlled, communicating with clarity, acting with virtue, and embracing resilience, leaders can navigate complexity with wisdom and inspire those around them. In an era marked by uncertainty and rapid change, Stoic leadership principles are more relevant than ever. Part 8, Stoicism and Technology in the Digital Age. The digital age has transformed the way we live, work, and interact. With constant connectivity, endless streams of information, and social media platforms, our minds face new challenges that ancient Stoics could hardly have imagined. Yet, the principles of Stoicism remain remarkably relevant and helpful in navigating the complexities of modern technology. One of the biggest challenges posed by technology is distraction. Notifications, emails, and social media updates compete relentlessly for our attention. This fragmented focus undermines productivity, creativity, and peace of mind. Stoicism teaches the importance of mindfulness and intentionality, choosing where to direct one's energy rather than being pulled in every direction. Marcus Aurelius advised himself to confine yourself to the present. This advice rings true today. Rather than endlessly scrolling or multitasking, we benefit from focused engagement on one task at a time. Practicing this digital mindfulness can reduce stress and improve quality of work and relationships. Another issue is the tendency toward comparison and envy, amplified by social media's highlight reels. Seeing curated images of others' successes or lifestyles can fuel dissatisfaction and anxiety. Stoicism counters this by encouraging gratitude and focusing on our own values rather than external appearances. The Stoics remind us that external goods and social approval are indifferent. They do not determine our true happiness or virtue. Furthermore, Stoicism's emphasis on controlling one's own judgments helps resist the emotional turbulence triggered by online interactions. In a digital environment prone to misunderstandings, trolling, or negativity, the Stoic asks, is this within my control? How should I respond virtuously? This approach fosters emotional resilience and prevents overreaction. Privacy and information overload are also concerns of the digital age. Stoicism advocates simplicity and moderation, limiting exposure to unnecessary content, protecting one's personal space, and focusing on meaningful knowledge align with Stoic values. Instead of consuming endless data, one can choose deliberate learning and reflection. The internet also presents opportunities for practicing Stoic principles through online communities, courses, and resources dedicated to personal growth and philosophy. Many modern Stoics engage in digital discussions, sharing insights and supporting each other's practice. This reflects the ancient Stoic ideal of community and mutual improvement. Remote work and constant connectivity blur the lines between professional and personal life, often leading to burnout. Stoicism encourages setting clear boundaries and prioritizing what truly matters. Recognizing what is within one's control and accepting what is not helps maintain balance and reduce stress. Finally, the digital age challenges us to remain authentic and true to our values amidst a culture of performativity and instant gratification. Stoicism's call to virtue over popularity is a grounding force, reminding us that integrity and wisdom surpass fleeting trends. In summary, while technology introduces unique pressures and distractions, Stoicism provides timeless tools for maintaining focus, emotional stability, and meaningful engagement. By applying Stoic principles, we can navigate the digital world with calmness and clarity, preserving our mental well-being and ethical compass. Part 9. Daily Habits to Cultivate a Stoic Mindset. Cultivating a Stoic mindset doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent, intentional effort to build mental habits that align with Stoic values such as discipline, self-awareness, and emotional resilience. While Stoicism is a philosophy rooted in ancient times, its power lies in its daily application, small practices that over time shape the way we perceive life and respond to it. In this part, we'll explore practical daily habits to help you live more like a Stoic in the modern world. Start the day with intention. One of the most powerful habits in Stoicism is the practice of morning reflection. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, believed in mentally preparing for the day ahead. Each morning, take a few minutes to center yourself and reflect on what you might face: difficult conversations, delays, or setbacks. This isn't pessimism. It's called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By imagining possible difficulties, you prepare your mind to stay calm and collected, no matter what comes. Ask yourself, what kind of day do I want to have? What kind of person do I want to be today? What events might challenge my values or emotions? This habit sets a tone of intentionality and helps you enter the day with resilience, rather than reacting impulsively. Practice mindful action. The Stoics emphasize doing everything with purpose and presence. Whether you're writing an email, washing dishes, or leading a team, give it your full attention. Avoid multitasking. As Marcus Aurelius advised, do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life. This practice of mindful action helps you eliminate wasted energy, improve focus, and create a deeper sense of satisfaction. It turns ordinary moments into opportunities to live with excellence and virtue. Use negative visualization. Once a day, reflect on something you value and imagine losing it, not to make yourself sad, but to heighten your gratitude. It could be your health, your home, or even a loved one. This ancient Stoic exercise is not morbid, it's a reminder of impermanence. It helps you appreciate what you have while loosening the grip of attachment and entitlement. By imagining loss, you learn to hold things with open hands, not in fear, but in appreciation. Journaling for reflection and growth. At the end of the day, journaling is a powerful Stoic tool. Marcus Aurelius's meditations were essentially his personal journal, never meant to be read by others. You can follow his example by taking time each evening to review your day. What did I do well? Where did I fail to live up to my values? How can I improve tomorrow? This habit builds self-awareness and helps you make progress, one day at a time. It's not about judging yourself harshly, but about learning from experience and choosing to grow. Apply the dichotomy of control. Throughout your day, remind yourself of the core Stoic distinction. Some things are in your control, and some things are not. Your thoughts, actions, and decisions are within your control. The opinions of others, the weather, or outcomes are not. This habit of mentally filtering events through this lens brings enormous clarity and peace. It helps you stop wasting energy on things you can't change and empowers you to focus on what you can. Practice voluntary discomfort. From time to time, intentionally expose yourself to mild discomfort. Take a cold shower, skip a meal, or walk instead of driving. These acts, inspired by Stoic practices, train your mind to become more resilient and less dependent on comfort. Seneca recommended practicing poverty, even when wealthy, to remind oneself that one can endure hardship. The goal isn't suffering, it's preparing yourself to face life's challenges with strength. Pause before reacting. One of the most Stoic things you can do is pause. In moments of stress, conflict, or temptation, practice the habit of taking a breath and observing your emotions before responding. Ask yourself, is this worth getting upset about? What's the most virtuous response right now? Am I acting from fear, pride, or reason? This pause helps you regain control and respond with wisdom instead of impulse. It turns reactivity into intentionality. Focus on virtue over outcome. Lastly, remind yourself each day that true success lies in acting with virtue, courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance, not in achieving external results. A Stoic mindset is not outcome-obsessed, it is integrity-obsessed. Did you act honorably? Did you stay true to your values? This mindset brings a deeper, more stable sense of fulfillment. Even if things don't go your way, you can find peace in knowing you did your best. In conclusion, cultivating a Stoic mindset doesn't require grand gestures. It requires simple, consistent habits. Starting your day with reflection, practicing mindful action, journaling, applying the dichotomy of control, and more. Over time, these practices build emotional strength, clarity, and inner peace. In a noisy and chaotic world, Stoicism offers a calm, grounded path. One habit at a time, you can live with more purpose, less stress, and a deeper sense of meaning. Part 10: Criticism, Limitations, and Integrating Stoicism with Other Philosophies. While Stoicism has gained renewed popularity in the modern world, especially among entrepreneurs, athletes, and those seeking mental resilience, no philosophy is without criticism or limitation. Stoicism offers powerful tools for inner strength and clarity, but it's not a complete answer to every human experience. In this part, we will examine some common criticisms of Stoicism, its limitations, and how it can be thoughtfully integrated with other philosophical and psychological frameworks for a more balanced life. Criticism 1. Emotional suppression. One of the most frequent critiques of Stoicism is that it promotes emotional suppression. Critics argue that by encouraging detachment from emotions, Stoicism can lead to numbness or disconnection from authentic human experience. For instance, by constantly reminding oneself that suffering is natural or that external outcomes are irrelevant, a person might begin to disconnect from grief, joy, or empathy. However, defenders of Stoicism clarify that the philosophy doesn't ask us to eliminate emotions, but to understand and manage them. The goal is not emotional numbness, but emotional mastery. A Stoic doesn't deny grief or fear, but observes these emotions with reason and doesn't allow them to dictate behavior. Still, the line between self-control and repression can become blurred, especially without guidance. Criticism. 2. Overemphasis on individualism. Stoicism tends to emphasize personal responsibility and internal control, which can sometimes be interpreted as overly individualistic. In this mindset, if someone suffers, the implication might be that they've failed to manage their mind correctly. Critics argue that this overlooks systemic, social, and environmental factors that significantly affect people's lives, factors that are not easily reduced to internal mindset shifts. While Stoicism does acknowledge justice and duty toward others, modern critics feel that it can fall short in addressing collective responsibilities or advocating for social change. Therefore, Stoicism might need to be paired with more socially engaged philosophies or practices to maintain balance. Criticism. 3. Neglect of pleasure and joy. Another limitation of Stoicism is its relative lack of emphasis on positive emotions such as joy, love, and celebration. While the Stoics weren't against pleasure, they viewed it with suspicion and encouraged people not to become attached to it. In a time when many people struggle with finding happiness or meaning, Stoicism's restraint may seem cold or even joyless. That said, many modern Stoics argue that the philosophy does allow for joy, especially the joy that comes from living in accordance with one's values and virtue. Still, it doesn't explore happiness as richly as other traditions like Buddhism or positive psychology. Criticism. 4. Practical rigidity. Some people find Stoicism difficult to apply in a nuanced way. It can sometimes feel too rigid or abstract when applied to the complex, emotional realities of daily life, especially in relationships, parenting, or dealing with trauma. The Stoic ideal of unshakable calm may feel unrealistic or even unhealthy if interpreted literally. To avoid dogmatism, Stoicism should be approached as a flexible toolkit, not a strict rulebook. Modern interpretations must adapt its wisdom to fit personal needs, emotional realities, and cultural contexts. Integrating Stoicism with other philosophies. Given these criticisms, one valuable approach is to integrate Stoicism with other philosophies and practices that address its blind spots. Stoicism and Buddhism. Stoicism shares many similarities with Buddhism. Both teach detachment from external outcomes, mindfulness, and acceptance of impermanence. However, Buddhism places more emphasis on compassion, interconnectedness, and practices like meditation. By combining the rational clarity of Stoicism with the compassionate mindfulness of Buddhism, a person can create a more emotionally rounded and spiritually fulfilling life philosophy. Stoicism and Existentialism. Existentialism, especially in the work of thinkers like Viktor Frankl or Jean-Paul Sartre, focuses on freedom, authenticity, and meaning in the face of suffering. It emphasizes the search for purpose and the human responsibility to create meaning. Integrating this with Stoicism can help people not only endure adversity, but transform it into something meaningful rather than merely tolerable. Stoicism and modern psychology cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective therapeutic models today, was directly inspired by Stoicism. The core idea is that our thoughts shape our emotions, and by examining irrational beliefs, we can change how we feel. Stoicism fits well within this framework. However, psychology also adds tools for processing deep emotions, trauma, and relational patterns that ancient Stoicism doesn't directly address. Therapies such as acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, internal family systems, IFS, and mindfulness-based practices can complement Stoicism by addressing emotional complexity in more depth. Stoicism and Christianity or other faith traditions. Many find that Stoicism aligns well with their religious values. The Stoic virtues, courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance, are central to many spiritual traditions. Christian thinkers like Thomas Aquinas and modern authors have woven Stoic principles into spiritual teachings, emphasizing service, humility, and surrender to divine will. For those who follow a faith, Stoicism can provide a practical, daily framework for living ethically and mindfully. Conclusion: Stoicism is a timeless and powerful philosophy, but not a perfect or complete one. Its emphasis on virtue, rationality, and emotional resilience makes it especially appealing in a chaotic modern world. However, its limitations must be acknowledged. It doesn't always account for emotional depth, social dynamics, or the richness of human connection. By integrating Stoicism with other philosophies, such as Buddhism, psychology, existentialism, or religious frameworks, we can create a more balanced, compassionate, and practical approach to life. Stoicism gives us the tools to stand firm, but we must also learn when to soften, connect, and evolve. Part 11, Conclusion. A timeless philosophy for modern challenges. In a world that often feels chaotic, uncertain, and overwhelming, Stoicism offers a steady hand, a way to center ourselves amidst the noise. Though it originated over 2,000 years ago, this ancient philosophy continues to speak directly to the core challenges we face today: how to find peace in a noisy world, how to stay grounded in the face of adversity, and how to live with clarity and purpose in a culture of distraction and excess. So, what makes Stoicism not just relevant but essential for the modern individual? Stoicism as a compass, not a cage. At its heart, Stoicism is not about denying emotions, avoiding pain, or suppressing joy. It's about anchoring your life in principles that remain unshaken regardless of external conditions. In a time where circumstances change rapidly, whether it's job loss, economic instability, personal conflict, or digital overwhelm, Stoicism provides a compass that keeps us directed toward what truly matters. By focusing on what we can control, our actions, judgments, and intentions, we reclaim a sense of agency. And by letting go of what we can't control, other people's opinions, outcomes, or unexpected events, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Stoicism doesn't eliminate difficulty, but it makes difficulty meaningful. The return to virtue. Modern life often emphasizes appearance over character, speed over depth, and instant gratification over long-term fulfillment. In this context, the Stoic emphasis on virtue, living with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, can feel almost revolutionary. Instead of asking, "What will this get me?" Stoicism encourages us to ask, "Is this the right thing to do?" It's a subtle but powerful shift in perspective. Whether you're making a decision at work, facing a personal challenge, or navigating relationships, choosing virtue as your guide leads to a life of integrity and peace, regardless of the external outcome. Resilience in the face of adversity. One of Stoicism's most empowering messages is that adversity does not define us, it reveals us. When something goes wrong, the Stoic doesn't collapse or complain. Instead, they ask, "What does this make possible? What lesson can I take from this?" This mindset turns challenges into opportunities for growth and character development. Whether it's dealing with failure, illness, heartbreak, or uncertainty, Stoicism equips us with the tools to respond, not react. It helps us pause, reflect, and choose our next action with clarity rather than panic. In a culture that often promotes avoidance of pain, difficulty, or discomfort, Stoicism reminds us that courage and endurance are far more liberating than escape. Presence over performance. In a world obsessed with productivity, performance, and being constantly on, Stoicism calls us back to presence. It teaches us that how we live is more important than how much we accomplish. Epictetus wrote, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This means that we can live the same life externally, but with radically different inner experiences. The person who learns to see clearly, to act justly, and to accept calmly what life offers is richer than one who has all the success in the world but no peace of mind. Stoicism is a reminder that our most valuable asset is not time, money, or status, but attention. What we give our attention to shapes our thoughts, our beliefs, and ultimately, our lives. A living philosophy, not a historical artifact. While rooted in ancient Greece and Rome, Stoicism is not a dead philosophy preserved in textbooks. It's a living, breathing practice. From athletes to military leaders, entrepreneurs to parents, Stoic principles are being applied every day to make decisions with clarity, lead with humility, and face hardship with dignity. But it's not about worshiping the past or quoting Marcus Aurelius for inspiration. It's about taking timeless wisdom and putting it into practice today. Every morning, you can begin again. Every moment, you can choose calm over chaos. Every day, you can practice letting go of what you can't control and committing fully to what you can. The Stoic legacy. What makes Stoicism endure is its humility and realism. It doesn't promise that life will be easy. It doesn't claim that we can master everything, but it reminds us that we can master ourselves, and that's where true freedom lies. As Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. In a world full of imagined fears, social comparison, and emotional reactivity, Stoicism offers something rare, a philosophy of strength, simplicity, and self-awareness. The Stoic life is not about perfection, but progress. It's not about becoming unbreakable, but becoming wiser with each break. It's not about withdrawing from the world, but engaging with it ethically and intentionally. Final thoughts. As we conclude this exploration of Stoicism and its modern applications, it's worth remembering that philosophy is not something you read once and understand. It's something you live, return to, and refine daily. Start small. Reflect on what you can control. Practice gratitude. Question your judgments. Pause before reacting. Choose virtue, even when it's inconvenient. And when life feels overwhelming, return to the calm center that Stoicism helps you build within. In doing so, you'll not only survive modern life, but rise above it with clarity, purpose, and peace.